All right, so what we want to cover today is some support challenges that consultants have encountered. We want to do a quick demo of the reports and kind of go through some things that we're working on internally, and then hopefully have an opportunity to answer some questions at the end of the presentation. So the first thing we're going to kind of cover is how we access the data, how consultants are supposed to think about getting to the farms that they need to. When support staff found out about the webinar, they wanted to make sure that we covered some basics. It seems like the same things keep repeating themselves over and over again. The most common question when consultants begin working with BoviSync is, how do I get in? And I just want to spend a moment covering some things about account creation and permission granting in the BoviSync app. So I highly recommend anyone that's going to work with BoviSync or farms that they just go create their own account. When you go to bovisync.farm and you don't have an account, you can simply just create your own account. And essentially what this does is it creates a username that you can share with customers. And when they put that customer in to their farm, it will allow them to give you access to their farm. This is the preferred method for access, and once you have created the email, you'll have immediate access when the farm gives you access. So the other option for creating an account is to simply get a request from the farm. If you find yourself on a farm and you want to get access to BoviSync for the first time, you can simply add an email into the farm setup screen, and it will actually create an account that you can post an invitation for. In this example, an email was sent to this email address. However, the account is not created until it is verified by the user, and only one invitation is valid. The other ones will become invalid. From a security standpoint, having only the first email clicked to create an account prevents unwanted access on the farms. So before adding additional farm permissions, make sure that the account has been created. And essentially, it's just pretty simple. You just go in and you do it. So then you have access to your farm. Now, as far as granting permission to the farm, once you have an account available, a member of the farm management team will need to grant you permission to the farm. Request to BoviSync for access will generally result in an email of instructions on how to add an account. In this example, you can see that the name comes up instead of the username in the permissions table. That's a sure indicator that it's actually associated with an account. Note that non-admins cannot see this screen. They cannot change any farm settings or reports. Access level can determine whether or not a user can modify any data, enter events, modify IDs, etc. So access is an incredible feature of BoviSync that we have a hard time explaining to people that when they first get introduced to the program. So you have access to all the farms that have given you permission. In addition, you can look at those farms different ways. You can search by owner, multiple farms. You can select the multiple farms. Any reports that are run will show those farms together. You also have the option of using some owned by settings. So a big thing that we're really trying to emphasize for people is that BoviSync really does allow you to access cows anywhere. And some of the features that are available in BoviSync really help this happen. For example, any animals owned by a farm can be included in reports no matter where they're located. You don't necessarily need to have access to a heifer grower using BoviSync. You only need to have access to the farm. In addition, sessions and report reference dates will change values in animals accessed. So there's many different ways that people are interacting with data and reports, and I think that we just want to spend some time covering some of the most frequently used report types. I'm going to have Scott jump on and kind of run us through some of these report types and how he explains the function of these. Before Scott goes, I have the poll results. We've got some people that, by and large, the group today, most people have seen BoviSync and have had some experience with BoviSync. Scott, are you ready to go?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Scott. Take the lead.
Okay. With this report, it's an animal report where you get one record for every animal. A lot of the items to describe the animal and current status. Items are lookups of data from events and imports. The item value will change based on changes to reference date in the reports, the report date. Here are the different items. The items are calculated off the date. The report is in
just
a
a
table.
moment, Scott. We're getting a hand up from attendee.
Okay.
I'll get back to that, Scott. Let me just keep going.
Okay. So yeah, this next report is again an animal report in a table, but instead of running a list of animals, it's actually taking items of value like milk, fat, protein. We're aggregating this by days in milk, and we're doing a cohort here of animals days in milk of 30. We're also taking a mean. The aggregate allows us to do a count, a sum, or a mean. In this case, we're going to do a mean for this group of cows. Down here is where we aggregate, and once we aggregate, we can fetch, or in this case, we're hiding the reports. We're looking here, milk, fat, protein. It's off to the right. You see the count number of the animals in that report. This one, we're actually using a mean, which gives us the percentage of in milk and is dry. This is common report request when people, want to know where your status of your herd is with milking and dry. It gives a total count, and it also by lactation group, and for the farm. So you could aggregate this, or if you were logged into multiple farms, you could see those multiple farms. Here we have a 4-week and 8-week milk graph. Graphs can be done throughout a certain time frame. This particular one is showing cows that are fresh the last 365 days. With last fresh date, you could also put in a hard date, but in this case, we're saying, think of a timeline, and we're saying greater than that last fresh date. And then we're displaying the date in an actual date. This is your events report. There's one record for every event. The fewer items per event, items are look up to the event. Keep in mind that the items are written for specific events. In this particular report, we just want to key in on medical diagnosis, sold, and fresh cows. Over a certain time frame. I guess this would be the past 7 days. So this is saying so many cows were diagnosed with an illness, so many were sold, and so many were freshened. This particular one, we're being a little more specific. You can see in a 2x2 table, we have two choices. We have the event type across the top and specific down the side. This particular report is in a 2x2 table, and it's actually showing us cutoffs of 30, 60, and 90. Once again, there's filters in here to pull up the cows we're looking at, but then we're showing events less than 0 to 30 days in milk, and then 30 to 60 days in milk. So you kind of get to see what's going on. And this would be for the last month. This actually keys in a little bit further on less than 30 days in milk. We're doing this by lactation group and what the specific event is, and actually for the last 60 days. On the top, we have the lactation group, so it's saying groups 1 and 2 are where the issues are or what's being looked at. This is a breeding summary table. We use this by aggregating for, in this case, reason for breeding. And then instead of doing a mean, a count, or a sum, we're going to put in a breeding summary. Then when you fetch it, it'll tell you the number of open, number of pregnant. In this case, it's by protocol or reason of breeding. This particular farm, we're doing BoviSync and tail chalking. It gives us the total number that were open and pregnant, gives us a conception rate on those breedings, and also a services per conception. Here we got a Testday report. The report's going from today to 6 months ago. And instead of looking up individual animals, we're looking up values of milk, days in milk, fat, protein. We're actually going to exclude down towards the filter there, current repro status, we're going to exclude dry cows. We do that by saying does not contain any. We're looking at a cohort of 30 days in milk, and it's giving us the mean of each of those cohorts. This telling you the current, the average days in milk, and then the current on that as well. Here's a somatic cell count status, also utilizing a Testday report in a table, but then aggregating by the test date. Brings up the date, where the chronics have been, percentage-wise, any new infections, cures, and so on. Here, we're doing a 2x2 table, it looks like, with cutoffs. We're asking for last somatic cell cutoff of 200, and then the previous one, same, greater than. Less than 200 days, greater than 200. Here's energy corrected milk by the test number and the month fresh. So the cohorts will give us the months that those animals calved in. this tells us how these cows are performing over a time frame.
So, Scott, I'm going to join you again here, and just kind of going back to questions that come up when people start using the software.
Okay.
I think this question comes up a lot: how to save a user report. So when they're looking at the screen here across the top, there's BoviSync, enter, reports, setup, help. Whenever you're logged in only as a user and not an admin, you won't see the farm reports. So not to confuse anybody, when you save things in this setup just to reports, you're the only one that can see those. So here's a quick demonstration of how you actually can save those events to your user account in BoviSync. I'm not really sure it is the best graph ever, but it's just a demo. So now it's going to load, and then it refreshes. The best graph ever will show up as a link in the menu, and it's just understanding that you're not changing anything on the farm when you save things. And if you need to modify those for any reasons, you can just go to setup and take care of it.
And these reports will follow you to every herd that you're logged into with BoviSync.
So I know one of the things that's frustrating whenever users start using it, sometimes it takes a few moments to load a report. And one of the things I really like showing consultants is once they've built their deck of slides or reports that they want to look at, this is really just a great way to get that done. And essentially, no matter what browser you're using, in this case it's Firefox, but same thing in Chrome, you can save all of the tabs into a folder. And it's just demonstrating how that works. We can save those to a bookmarks folder. You can log into any farm, and when you decide to open that folder, you have the option to load the entire folder. It will reload all those tabs. So we have some consultants we work with that are loading 20 different reports all at once. And it may take a few minutes for that to load, but they're all there. Report time is often really affected by the number of events you want to query and some of the event types you're looking up. So as far as reports, we've talked about reports and how to access data that way. We've covered the animal, event, and Testday modules. We have two other modules that are used frequently. Those are Parlor and Bulk Tank. And obviously what information is going in there, that's the actual Parlor data is going into the Parlor reports. We covered some reports that can do lookups. All the animal reports have the items that do look up into the animal reports. We have some different options to help you take the data with you. All the reports we ran today that are in table format can easily be exported to CSV just from the report at the top corner. In addition, we have a data client that can be installed on any Windows computer, and that can be used to download reports from the farms you have access to. The data client is fairly powerful, and it will remember what combination of farms you're logged in to produce the tables that you need for your reports. The Android app is a powerful tool that we often lead with when we are talking to new farms and explain how that can really help the quality of data on a farm and speed things up. The Android app is really optimized for quick data entry and working on the farm. I don't necessarily know that it's the most useful thing for a consultant who's visiting a farm once a month or 2 times a month just walking through. It's very helpful just to load the web app on the phone and you can access what you need. And just a quick brief, like coming soon, we're working on some APIs. we want to give the companies that you work for the ability to work with our database in an effective manner that's going to help you guys address customer issues and really just give you guys access to the best data. And also, we're looking at building out team access. We want to give companies the ability to manage their team through a different portal, and producers will then simply have the ability to just give access to an entire team. An example might be a AI company where they have multiple people and technicians that currently have access to BoviSync. Perhaps in the future, the producer will have the ability just to give access to that AI company, and the AI company can manage those people. In addition, one of the big projects we've been working on is upgrade on the report system. Everything that you learned today and saw today is going to be updated in the very near future. One of the key things that we're working on is the ability to download data directly into the local computer so that we don't need to query the server every time. Custom calculated items. If you can't find something you like or you want a different category to group by, currently not available in BoviSync, you can simply create your own item, and just greater flexibility with between different report types. Also, we're working on just improving formatting and grouping. We're very excited about that, and it's going to be a really big deal. So right now, I got some questions. And how did you get ECM? Was the item created for this example? Yes, ECM is available in the Testday reports, and we have some elsewhere, but ECM is included in the Testday reports if anybody's familiar. So I'll go ahead and answer that to all.
One thing nice about looking at these items, you can just type ECM and it'll populate with all the items that have that those letters or words in it.
So one of the things that you see another question here I'm going to answer. We are currently building interfaces and have built interfaces for most parlors. We haven't built much as far as robots go, simply because of that market in particular. It's something that we're interested in and we'll go into when it makes the most sense for us. We're also exploring feed software integrations and things like that. Right now, currently, we're able to send data to anywhere. So as far as imports into those software, extremely flexible in what we can do. We have a fairly decent number of farms on Cow Manager today and SCR that are working with BoviSync. So kind of coming up, we have some additional webinars scheduled. It seems like there's some interest. Next Tuesday we have a reproductive oriented presentation. Please like us on Facebook to stay posted on additional offerings. If you have a farm that needs BoviSync, please let us know. We'd love to give them a personal demo and explain the benefits of the software. Here's some emails. We will follow up. Everyone that signed up today, we will provide them a link with the presentation and some links to those reports. In addition, here's my email and then some different contact points. Support at BoviSync is a great way to get in touch with us. If you have need help with a farm, or a customer says they need help, just give us a shout. And then we have some pretty good tools online. Is there anything you want to add, Scott?
No, I just wanted to say if you have some spare time and you want to take 30 minutes, 45 minutes and individually go through some reports, maybe do some report creation, that's where I come in. You can call me if I'm available. We can jump into it. Otherwise, we can schedule something. Basically, working for BoviSync, my time is allotted to people like yourself to learn how to make reports and how to get the data out of it.
Any other questions from the group today? Jordan, we'll reach out to you after the presentation. So, as far as the presentation today, we really just wanted to kind of cover the power of BoviSync, and I understand that there's some questions about, kind of how you build reports, and I really want to get into that in detail. And if anybody, like Scott says, if they want to learn how to do that, just reach out to us, and Scott is happy to work with you individually. If you have a report, it's as simple as just sharing a link back to us. You can, if you're frustrated with a report, just contact support with an email and a link to that report from the URL, and that will help us show where we're at. I think, specifically one of the frustrations I think people have when they're first initiated to it is that they're used to another software and they're trying to work with the software in the exact same way. I would highly recommend the in-range filter. Is a great way to filter on data. For example, if you're working with individual pens on a farm, you can use 1 to 5, comma 10, and comma 11, and it'll include those 5 different pens. So it's pretty powerful. Any other questions from the group today? Well, we wanted to make sure that we got through a lot of stuff and made it lively. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and we will be doing more of this, especially as we're kind of limited in what we can do on the farms. Certainly more limited than we have been. So please reach out and watch the Facebook page. Thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.